Part 4 is a brief look at ethics and how it fits in with the 6-level model. So what role does ethics play in transformational leadership? An interesting story at this point is I was at a Six Sigma conference once, and one of the sessions was on ethics. It was the last session of the conference, and I attended thinking it would probably be somewhat empty. But it turned out to be the biggest session of the whole conference in terms of attendance. And some of the material that was presented I've included in this presentation. Kohlberg discusses 6 levels or 6 stages of moral maturity. He's kind of got them divided up into 3 phases: preconventional, conventional, and principled, as you can see on the slide. The early stages have to do with responding to pleasure and pain. You do what gives you pleasure and avoid what gives you pain. And that can actually drive the values within the workplace. All the way to principled or ethical principles, where you're dealing with higher order considerations. I'm going to go into more detail on these in the next 3 slides. According to Kohlberg, the first 2 stages are based on your anticipation of pleasure or pain. Stage 1 is the punishment obedience phase. We see that in little children, but we can see it in adults as well, where we're trying to avoid punishment, we're trying to stay out of trouble, we're trying to do things based on physical consequences. Stage 2 moves up a little bit in that now you're dealing with an exchange. You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And now people are doing what's necessary to get by, and they're valuing things in terms of what it means to them. The next 2 stages in Kohlberg's model deal now with more of the group relationships. The first one has to do with conforming to group expectations, and the second one has more to do with respecting rules and authority. But Kohlberg throws in a stage 4.5 where he says, as an example, college students that have come to see conventional morality as relative and arbitrary may drop into a hedonistic ethic of do your own thing. I thought that was kind of interesting. But this particular set of stages is dealing with group relationships. The last 2 stages move beyond the individual and the group the individual's in into more concern about society and the rights of others. And so stage 5 is prior rights and social contract, and this is where you're looking out for the public good. And finally, stage 6 deals with ethical principles that are universal, and this is where you're concerned about the overall worth and value of all human beings. Kohlberg makes some other observations about these stages and how you move through them. First of all, he believed that you have to progress through the stages, that you can't leap through them, that you have to move from one stage to another through some phase of development. He also believed that it's difficult for people in a lower stage to comprehend much beyond the stage above them. For what it's worth, Kohlberg believed that about 1/4 of people ever get to level 6, and a majority remain at level 4. This is interesting because if you buy into the idea that ethics plays a role in the transformation of people, then this has a lot of ramifications. There's a growing number of leadership experts that tie ethics into the ability for a company to transform, the ability to get away from the work-centric model requires people to have some values and concerns over the work group and customers. And in order to transform and go through all the work it takes to become a higher order company, you need to have concern about the social order of things and the contribution that your company is making to the world. So this is a very short introduction to ethics. There's a lot out there if you'd like to get into this a little deeper. And there is a lot of room for disagreement as well, but it's certainly something to take seriously.